Hello everybody, welcome to another tour with the Greenhouse Wellness family. Today we have a very unique and awesome opportunity to be here, not at a grower, not at a processor. Today we're at Atlantic Test Labs, one of the independent test labs in Maryland. So today we have with us Amanda. She's a microbiology lab manager here. She's going to tell us a little bit about Atlantic, and then we'll give you guys a tour as well.
Yeah, so welcome to Atlantic Test Labs. We're really excited to have you all here. So we actually started as a pharmaceutical company back in 1999, and we kind of took those ideas and morals from the pharmaceutical side and brought it over to the cannabis side, which we're really excited about. We are FDA compliant with everything. We know how to work in a highly regulated system, so that's kind of what we brought to cannabis. And so if you'd like to get to the tour.
Without further ado, we'll get to the tour. So what's the first part that we're going?
Yes, so this is the microbiology lab. This is basically my home where I live. This is where we do all the safety testing for the microbial contaminants. We test specifically for total aerobic microbial count, total yeast and mold, E. coli species, and Salmonella species. Something special about our microbiology lab is that we're actually a Class 7 clean room, accompanied by our 17025 accreditation. We're fully gowned in there with hairnets, booties, and lab coats. And so this is actually where the cannabis samples start. They start in our biological safety cabinets. Those are the big boxes in the back where we weigh everything out. Those are actually Class 5. So we try to eliminate any kind of contamination between samples or contamination from us, just to make sure the cannabis clients are getting the best results possible. So for the microbial testing, we actually do a real-time quantitative polymerase chain reaction procedure. What this is we're amplifying DNA to try to find either the specific species or the mold and aerobic bacteria, and then quantify it. And we do that in our thermocycler.
So this is a very advanced setup, but one of the most basic questions I could ask is, where in the cycle of, say I'm a grower and I want to send out a sample to you guys to get tested, where in the plant's life cycle does it get sent to you guys?
Yeah, so we typically get them at the end of the life cycle, usually after they've been dried, because that will best represent what a consumer will be using. Sometimes we do get fresh frozen samples, so they'll pull the plants right out of the room, stick them right in the freezer, and then we'll test those products because those will be sent to processing.
Awesome. Well, if we want to continue down the tour.
Yep, and we're fully equipped with incubators, and we have a HEPA airflow system. We also have an anteroom in which we gown up in. That's really important. And then we can move on to the chemistry lab.
And with the chemistry part of the tour, we have not only the microbiology lab manager, but we also have the lab director himself, Mr. Scott, if you wouldn't mind joining us up here. So tell us a little bit about the chemistry board of the lab.
Hi, everybody. Like Amanda said, I think one of the things that we talk about and like to talk about our pharmaceutical experience. I've been a method development chemist and a lead and a manager in the pharmaceutical industry for 25 years prior to joining this industry. So I'm really excited to be here. And we're trying to bring some of the regulation that we had in that industry, some of the rigorous standards the FDA required, without tying us down into paperwork and other things. So we're bringing a little level of that into the chemistry, but we don't want to get bogged down like a pharmaceutical company would have to do with all the FDA regulations and stuff. So when Amanda takes her samples over in the micro lab, make sure we get a sterile sample. Then the samples that actually come over into our room. We have a vault in the back corner where we keep things, overnight, motion sensors, cameras, all the things to make sure that we're safe and protected. The first instrument that we'll talk about is a high-performance liquid chromatography system. That's where we run our potency analysis. We're going to give you your THC, your delta-9, CBN, CBGs, all that good stuff. We're currently running 10 cannabinoids. We're in the process of expanding up to 16. We continue to look at new methodologies, try to stay on top of expanding that to stay up with client needs. As some of these more minor cannabinoids become important, when people start understanding the synergistic effects of the different cannabinoids together, we want to be able to test those and provide accurate numbers for everybody, not just the THC and the CBD, which is what where everyone was starting. The state, I think, requires currently 8. We're going to expand to 16, and we're going to keep looking to do that as things move forward. That's kind of the potency part where the clients are probably most worried about. The rest of the testing that we'll talk about is all going to be related to the safety of the product. Amanda's going to make sure we don't have any bacteria or any mycotoxins or anything like that. We're going to make sure that it doesn't have any other problems. So the first instrument that we'll talk about is our headspace analyzer. It's a gas chromatography system. We take the samples and volatilize them into a gas state and then run them through a flame ionization detector to determine terpene levels, which is another client-specific thing that everyone's very interested in. But we also test for residual solvents. So if solvents are used in the extraction process, we like to make sure that they're not present in the end material, and it's required by the state to do that. So we make sure there's no butane, isopropyl, ethanol, these other things that could be dangerous to consumers. So that's one part of the test. Back in the back, you can see a hood, and then what's kind of shown up there, there's Dave, one of our chemists. It's the digester back there. We take the samples and put them in concentrated acid, the flour samples, the concentrates, everything that we get, and then we take them through a high temperature digestion. That's not any different than the microwave you have at home, really, other than that we put horrible things in it. But they're very safe. It's actually explosion proof and all this kind of cool stuff. But anyway, the samples are digested in the acid and they're run on this machine, it's an ICP-MS, which is inductively coupled plasma with a mass spectroscopy detection system. And a lot of fancy words to basically let us know. We break everything down into a pure elemental state and we analyze for metals. The state requires 8 metals, we're talking about lead, mercury, arsenic, these kind of things. We could analyze for all of them, but those are the only ones we analyze. And again, to make sure that that the product that the end user is getting is going to be safe. So that's one part of the safety aspect. The other thing back here in the corner is our LCMS, and that's where we're going to run pesticides. So liquid chromatography with a dual mass spectroscopy system. It's incredibly sensitive. It's incredibly powerful as far as being able to see very small amounts of any pesticides. Currently, I think that the state requires 52 pesticides, and we can see those, but we could also see every single other pesticide that exists on this machine that could possibly come in. And this becomes more important for the hemp CBD side of our market because now we're getting samples in from all over the country. The great thing about the Farm Bill passing and the CBD happening is they can actually just send them to us in the mail. And so we have clients all over the country that are sending us samples that we can actually run. So even though we're currently tied to the Maryland pesticides, we can expand into Oregon, California, Canada, which is crazy. Canada's like 600 pesticides that are banned. But anyway, we have the capacity to meet whatever client needs might come or whatever changes the state might make.
That's awesome. So if that's pretty much it for the tour, the last question that a lot of patients probably have is, all this considered, these advanced methodologies and testing, how best can patients use this information to tailor their treatment plans and find what's best for them?
Yeah, I think that there's so many different possibilities of these synergistic effects of things, like, the CBD THC synergy is well understood, but who knows, like the possibilities are endless with the other combinations, the different terpene profiles, the different other cannabinoids that might be contributing to whatever ailment you're having that could be helpful. We want to make sure we provide the most accurate numbers. And for people to look for certificates of analysis from independent testing labs when they get the products, to make sure that they're safe, first of all, but that they have the actual amounts of THC and CBD and other things in them that the label says.
Absolutely.
And so, like, when they find something that works, that a month later they can go back and get that same product.
Awesome. Well, Scott, thank you for having us.
Pleasure having you guys.
That's Atlantic Test Labs. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you at the dispensary.